Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott McKenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
All right, you industrial professionals out there, welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast. You know, my name is Scott McKenzie. This is where industrial leaders come to talk. We celebrate the human power of industry. And you know, this week's interview is nothing short of fantastic. It's with a young lady by the name of Estie Rand. That's E-S-T-I-E, Rand, and she'll put more money in your pocket. You know, we're all about creating solutions for you as an industrial professional. She's going to focus on marketing, branding, and all the good stuff that you need to do as a professional, as a company. So let's get this interview and show on the road. So thank you once again for joining the Industrial Talk Podcast. Hey, you know what it is? Tropical Storm Gordon is right around the corner because we broadcast from Mandeville, Louisiana, and that's right outside of New Orleans. So we'll see what happens. We got our stuff ready to go. Got plenty of water. We're prepared. That's what we need to do. All right, Estie Rand. She is the founder and CEO of Strand Consulting. But before we get into that interview, we've got to take care of some business.
Tailgate Talk number 1.
All right. You know, I'm a big fan of reliabilityweb.com, reliabilityweb.com, and they've got a podcast called Reliability Radio, and that is the one that I'm on all the time. So, but nonetheless, I want you to be aware of some programs, of some events that are coming up. What you do is you go out to reliabilityweb.com, and the first one is Euro Maintenance 4.0. This is September 24th through the 27th. It's in Antwerp, Belgium, so any of the listeners over there that are in Europe, well, they got a plane over there, too, so don't worry about it. It's going to be a great event there. And then, of course, December 10th through the 14th, this is in Bonita Springs. This is IMC 2018. I did 2017, and it's a great event. If you're in the reliability space, if you're in the asset management arena, I highly recommend, and highly with an big H, to go and find out more about that. So that's reliabilityweb.com. Go out to Events tab and find an event near you because they got it going on.
Number 2.
Okay, I'm all about books. I'm all about reading. I'm all about finding the right, I don't know. You just got to keep on learning because this, once again, I sit in the world where this information is available. You can be the best version of you because the information is out there. And this story with a book by a gentleman by the name of Jim Witt, a great friend of mine. I'd have to say he's a big influencer in my life, and I'm so proud to be able to call him friend. But he's got a book out called Writing for the Brand, and it's out there. It's out there on Amazon, but it's a great. It's a small novel, but you know what it does? It communicates the value of purpose, and I think as a company, as a professional in the industrial space, I highly recommend that you go out there and get Writing for the Brand, and it's a great read. I enjoyed it. I read it in one sitting, and once again, that's for Jim Witt, and it is Writing for the Brand, a great book.
Number 3.
Okay, I've got a great relationship with a Colorado Business Roundtable. That's Colorado Business Roundtable. And they've got a series out there for you supply chain people to go on out to that's COBART, Colorado Business Roundtable, or COBRT.com. And they've got a great series on supply chain. So once again, if you are a supply chain professional, I highly recommend that you go out there, root around. It's under podcast, radio, tremendous resource, all free. Go on out there.
Number 4.
Okay, this is the last and final one before we get to the interview. We're working on an industrial academy educational platform. And what we're looking at right now, this is Industrial Talk, and we're breaking it up into leadership. We're breaking it into finance as well as operations, and then finally business development, sales, marketing. But we're going to have a plethora of highlighted individuals that, one, have been on the podcast. And if you want to be on the podcast and you can share and fall into those categories, I would be happy to talk to you. You go out to industrialtalk.com and just say, hey, contact me, Scott. I think I got some information. So that's number 4. That is, once again, the Industrial Academy, and it is, it's all about education. It's all about content. It's going to be out there too, along with all of the podcasts. So let's get on with this interview. So Estie Rand, she, once again, is the founder of Strand Consulting. And you know, if you've listened to me enough, how passionate I am about branding and marketing and being able to leverage technology. You know what? She's a rock star. She knows what to do. She was blowing my mind with the information that she was providing on the interview. Let's put it this way, and it's short and sweet. If you're not, and I mean if you're not professionally seeking solutions in this industrial digital world, or if you're not finding ways of being able to leverage the technology, your competition is. And it's still, you got to get out there, and it's painful to a certain extent, but people like Estie and others, I'm telling you right now, the answers are out there. You can contact me. I've lived through this. This is important stuff. This is never going away. So why not figure out how you leverage technology to improve your brand, to improve your sales funnel, to improve your marketing? It's there, okay? So Estie, because she's with Strand Consulting, she's amazing. So let's just get on with that because, quite frankly, I'm tired of listening to myself. So everybody, Estie Rand, and she is the founder and CEO of Strand Consulting, and she's going to talk about marketing. Well, I'm here with Estie Rand, and she has been so kind to be able to get on the old Industrial Talk podcast. Thank you very much for joining, Estie. How are you doing?
I am doing good today, and how are you?
Oh, boy, thank you for asking. Nobody ever asked me. Nobody. So there, and now I'm all caught off guard, and my thought process is all mixed up. No, anyway, hey, Estie, you're out in California. It's getting warm, but give us a little 411 on who you are, and then sort of your company. But I want to hear about you and how'd you get to be such an incredible professional.
Okay, well, thank you for that intro compliment.
You're welcome.
So yeah, I am out in LA. I'm actually originally from New York, and I went to business school out there. And then I actually did a 10-year stint in Jerusalem, which is where I grew professionally the most. So I was the CIO of a multinational nonprofit out there. So we were working with about 250 satellites that were all over the world. We had in the FSU, former Soviet Union. We had all across Europe, France, England, Germany. We had South Africa. We had South America, Argentina, Brazil, Chile, and then all across North America as well, and Canada. So I was kind of managing all of the information flow, complex budgets, business plans, and stuff. And about 6 years in, the different political, when you work for a nonprofit, you're always at the whims of the board and the donors. And the donors decided that we needed to kind of change management structure. So they hired a middle manager between me and my direct boss. And for various reasons, threatened, that guy decided that I was no longer CIO. I was his new secretary.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'm actually a really bad secretary. I'm good at a lot of things. I'm a terrible secretary. Not good at coffee, not good at blindly following instructions. I'm just bad at it. Right. And so I'm like, nope, I'm the new leaving person. Bye.
Wow, that's incredible. That's a big decision. Were you married at the time?
Decision.
Were you married?
I was married and I had 3 children.
And what did your husband think, saying, okay, I'm out of here. I'm not going to be doing this?
So my husband actually encouraged me. It had been months and months, and the new guy was just terrible. He was really making my life miserable. Like I was supposed to travel to Buenos Aires for something, and I was really excited. And he's like, nope, you're not going. I'm going. And I was supposed to and he took my team away from me. He's like, your team is my team now. I'm like, but wow. He's terrible. He got fired 2 years later. He was so bad. It took them 2 years to get rid of him because whatever, just politics.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it had really, truthfully, if I think about it, had been brewing from about a year or two previous to this guy's entrance when the company had hired an external consulting firm. And I had no exposure to consultants. I don't know, I went to regular school, but I'd never looked at consulting as a thing. I didn't know what it was.
Right.
And this consulting team that they hired. So I was involved at the budgetary level as well. So I knew what they were being paid. I knew how they charged. And I'm like, dude, they are getting paid way more than me. And they're saying the same stuff I'm saying, but they're getting listened to.
Right.
Like, I'm in the wrong line of work. Why am I not doing what they're doing? And so that was already brewing for a while before this crazy guy came in.
But you know what's interesting with that change, with that reality? Do you regret it? Do you regret the fact that you're not there?
Not at all.
Yeah, see, isn't that how
Not
it
at
works?
all.
So fantastic.
It was so hard, though. I cannot even tell you. My husband was still in school at the time studying, so I was the main provider for our family. He's amazing. Like, I could never have done this without him. And when he saw how miserable I was becoming at the job, he's like, you have to leave. He's like, no money is worth this. You know, you're going to figure something out. We'll figure something out. You can't stay. And it was actually, you want to hear the crazy story?
I do.
The night that I quit, a lot of people don't know this story. The night that I quit, I'm going to say it live. What happened was, like, I had a sacred time with my children, bedtime prayer time.
Right.
Every night, bedtime prayers. That was mommy and kids. That was sacred. That doesn't get touched. And things were getting so crazy at work, so crazy that in the middle of saying prayers with one of my kids, my phone rang and I answered it on a work call. And my husband just looked at me. He said, "You're quitting tonight." He said, "You have never in all your years ever done that. This is totally overtaking your life, our lives, in a place that we don't want this to go. You're quitting tonight."
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
Wow. Isn't that something? And then you never look back and look at you now. And this is a great segue into Strand.
I definitely can't say I never looked back, but I will tell you about Strand.
Now you're talking to me, and then we're going to be talking about Strand and what incredible stuff that you guys do at the founder, because you are the founder, you're the consultant, and you are a coach. So talk to me about Strand.
I am. So Strand Consulting was this little pipe dream I had when I left that job. And truth be told, I had already been coaching on the side for a year or two. Yeah, no, about a year before. After that consulting company came in, I'm like, I want to learn coaching. So I took a coaching course. I got certified by the AACP, American Academy of Professional Coaches, AAPC.
Oh, yeah.
And I was already coaching on the side and doing some business coaching, but very, very part-time. And I said, it was 2011. It was the beginning of the small business boom. And I'm seeing everyone and their sister, brothers, pet dogs trying to start their own thing and putting out like little ads or cards or telling people about it. And I'm like, I went to business school. I have a natural business head. My first profitable business I ran when I was 10. And it was a really good one, actually. I still use those tools with my clients.
No, really. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a good one. And, I want to help them. I really think if they just knew a little more about marketing, or if they knew a little more, like, I would see ads in like the local weeklies or even some magazines, and I'd be like, that was such a waste of space and money. Like, I know how much that ad cost, and I know that they got zero business from it. And the coolest thing was, when I started the company, I actually got calls from some of those ads from those people. They'd be like, "Hey, Estie, I don't know if you ever saw my ad, if you read the local papers, but I didn't get any business." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." Like, "How do you know?" I'm like, "Because I saw your ad." And I know that ad didn't work. It was so bad. And so that was my dream. But it was a dream. And the dream was to create a full service consulting firm that could service small businesses. Right. Because the big guys, like this firm that my nonprofit hired, I saw what they charge. No small business can pay for something like that. Oh. You're paying for, 3-4 consultants at a time to come down to your space, including all of their travel time. So just to talk to them, you got $1,000 just to say, "Hi, can you help me?" And I wanted to do something for the little guys that would be the equivalent in terms of service offerings. And that's what Strand is. Strand Consulting, we pull all the strands of your business together. I call it also the two key strands that run through every profitable business, which is passion and strategy. And we do full service consulting for a small business. So everything you would imagine a Fortune 500 company getting from one of the big guys, we'll do for the little guys. The prices are scaled down and the strategies are scaled down. When you are a little business and you're playing in the big business world, you are not playing the same game. I would say the rules are overall the same, but you're playing a different game and you have to. I looked actually at one point at the billboard outside my office complex. We were doing a big event and I was like, maybe I'll put something on that billboard. $9,000 for 1 month for one billboard. You can't do that when you're a little guy. I was like, never mind.
Yeah, but you can't even do it because you can't see the analytics into that. It's hard to say that billboard for $9,000 resulted in this type of business. And then,
for sure, and that's part of what makes it totally not worth it.
Completely. And you can't pivot. You can't say, I don't like the way that sounds. I don't like the way that looks. I don't like the way whatever. And you can't just go up there and say, okay, let me rip that down. I'm going to put something in. You can't do that.
That's another 9,000.
Oh, man. I've been down that road, and it's awful. I hated it. I hated it with the passion.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And today with digital marketing, and that's a small business game. You know, when you're smaller and you've got a marketing budget of 10,000, 20, even 30 or 50, a billboard is just ridiculous. You can't play that game. You know, you've got to play the digital game. You've got to play, I actually recently was teaching promotional strategies and I broke it down to like kind of 7 key categories. Classic advertising is just one of 7. And that's the main category you can hit. Classic advertising being print, radio, and television. Radio, maybe for a small business, you could do local radio ads. It's actually not so bad. But again, you don't know the metrics. You know, why wouldn't you go digital where you could directly reach your audience? It's totally different. So anyway, so that's what Strand was. Strand was my dream of how to help smaller businesses to compete with the big guys at their own level. You know, with strategies that'll work for them, which are different, and at prices that'll work for them.
But here's that's the funny thing. Even that, the relatively speaking, let's say you're running some ad in a digital platform, whatever. It's pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, it's so much cheaper.
It's like, holy cow, and so the analytics is like now. You could sort of say, oh, okay, I could track that. I could see it. Oh, it's not resonating. Flip, whatever, do whatever. You can make those modifications on a real-time basis. It's fantastic.
You know what? And we found something super fascinating. These are the kind of things you can't get with old school advertising. And by the way, they do say now the classic marketing mix expanded to include online. But yeah, what a small business can do versus a big business, even online, is different, right? What a big business can do online with their Insta pivots and their like 15, 20, 30 person teams, a small business has to do digital their own way also. But here's what we found for a small business. They were targeting it's targeting moms basically. And so they were figuring they're targeting moms, between 25 and 45. Yeah. And we did a whole online campaign and we found amazing ROI on the grandmas. We did not know that was our audience. And we're like, oh my gosh, the grandmas are loving this for the grandkids.
Oh yeah.
One of the things about online advertising is you find a new audience. It didn't even occur to you.
Yeah.
We saw the ROI because it shows you the age demographics of who's clicking on our ads. Yeah. And we're aiming at these moms. And we see that the 45 to 65, we are getting like a lower cost per click. And we're getting more than we're aiming for. Tons of them. Yeah. We're like new audience. And we're developing now a whole strategy. We're going to try to do like a big like grandma day. So digital not only is cheaper and gives you the analytics, so if you know if you're reaching your audience, it can even give you insight into a brand new strategy and a brand new audience. It's amazing.
It's interesting. That's like an aha moment. We were just talking offline, and it was like, I can't wait to be a grandparent because you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to spend money and I'm going to spoil these kids rotten, right?
Exactly.
We're not the only one. You and I are not the only one, and that demographic, that behavior exists out there. That makes sense. That's pretty cool.
Totally.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, so let's pivot a little bit here.
Yeah.
So we're talking digital marketing. We're talking about the benefits of it. You've been in the game for many, many years. The listening audience is industrial. They're looking at pumps. They're looking at whatever it might be. But why is it important for that industrial company? Because when you look at an industrial company, you're looking at sort of that spoke and what. Anyway, you got a big business in the middle, and then you got a bunch of companies that support around, right? Mm-hmm. And of which, why is it important for these guys, this company, these entities to get into digital marketing?
So I would say if you're doing any marketing at all, right? And the way I define marketing is the creation and communication of value to your target audience to convince them to buy. If you're doing any of that, where you're creating and communicating value to your audience, trying to get them to buy, you've got to be online. There is no one today that's not. So whoever you're selling to, whoever your partners are, whoever you're trying to generate business from, they're there and you should be too.
I was always under the impression if you're not in the game, because here's the problem, here's the reality. The industrial world tends to push away change, and they're reluctant for it. I mean, there's a risk, there's an aversion to it. But the reality is that this platform is going to be around, it's going to evolve, and it's going to continue to be there. And if you're not in the game, I know your competition is. And it's all about, like you said, it's how are you branding, how are you getting that message out, what's that value proposition, but how are you doing in a strategic way using this platform is key.
Totally.
And that's been my sort of purpose, is to try to make sure, outside of all the other elements associated with the industrial world, the bottom line, people want to fill that funnel. People want to be able to have their brand out there, grow that brand, go beyond whatever the boundaries that they have. And I'm real bullish on the digital marketing. So if I came to you and I was a manufacturer of a pump, what type of steps would you take me through?
So what does the pump do? Who buys it? Who are you trying to sell it to?
Yeah. And then from there, you can create a customized.
No, really, tell me, what does this pump do? Like, give me just like a teeny bit more information. Yeah. I'm being serious. Tell me a question. I'm going to tell you what to do.
Okay. And of course, I would have picked something that I know more about, but I'm going to go
pick something else. Pick something else.
Let me see. Okay. The pump is used in a chemical environment. Mm-hmm. It is typically a very expensive component. I mean, very expensive. Mm-hmm. It has to be installed properly. It has to be aligned. Your audience would be let's say a procurement department. It's primarily the procurement person, whatever that might be. And you're trying to break into saying, man, our pumps are great. Those pumps that you've been buying for the past 50 years are not so good. And here are the reasons why that maybe these pumps are better. Price, reliability, whatever it might be. Your target audience has to be that procurement guy.
Okay, and just because I'm a little clueless on what that means. So procurement would be, it's a department in what kind of a company?
Let's say a chemical manufacturing company.
Okay, so they make chemicals. This department, great. So when you look at digital, I like to separate digital into online marketing, right? So we call that general digital marketing, right? Because everything that's online is online, and social media. Yeah, so split those in half. And then within those two, there's another kind of split category. It almost becomes like a matrix, right? Where you've got paid and quote unquote free, organic. And I'm doing, for anyone who's not watching the video, I'm doing like those little quotes.
Quote unquote.
Quote unquote. Free, organic, because very, very little is free online today, unless you're doing it yourself, in which case it's the cost of your time. Mm-hmm. So you're either spending your time, which is totally worth money, or you're spending money for someone else's time. But either way, that's your free organic. And so if we look at online marketing, so general digital strategy, if we fall into paid, you're looking at pay-per-click on Google, okay, which is probably a really good online strategy for something like this because people search for everything. So then you do what's called keyword research. Keyword research says, what are people looking for? So I've got keyword, chemical pump. And then I look at all the associated keywords. Now we have short tail and long tail. So just imagine someone is looking for, I'm going to use the shoe example because it's super easy. Someone's like dressy shoes, right? They type dressy shoes in. Okay, that's what we call a competitive keyword. Lots of people would love to show up for dressy shoes from like the giant shoe manufacturers, Nike, not Nike, they're not dressy, Zappos to like, Louboutins to like everything, to like some little guy in like their basement who's like trying to like, be an independent shoe designer would love to rank for dressy shoes. But here's the thing about dressy shoes. I might just be browsing. You're going to pay a whole lot of money for that. There's a lot of competition and who cares? But if I go online and I'm like, dressy shoes, green and blue, size 9, I'm ready to buy. And that's what we call a long tail keyword. Long tail keywords mean they're more and more specific, and the customers that look for those things are much more ready to buy something, whether it's a product or a service, right? Massage therapist in LA, back specialty, right? Much more inclined to buy than I just search massage therapist. So I want to look at the long tail. What is someone going to look for when they're looking for me? And then I want to be there.
So you're saying, hey, Google keyword search.
That's one good place for something like this.
It's out there. And then from an organic point of view, I'm looking for the shoe or the pump or the valve or whatever it is, and I'm going to say, I'm looking for something that, and then I type it in and I'm pretty specific about it. That's where the value comes.
So that's one place,
but
that's
in
digital.
You're not out there actually saying, okay, now I'm going to push a marketing strategy that is highlighting those values. Is it sort of more into your website?
So there's a few things here. When we talk about pushing out a marketing campaign, so then we talk about paid advertising. So when we talk about keyword ranking, there's a paid version, right? Where you go to Google and like you see this little thing that says ad, right? Those people pay for that. Those are pay per click, right? You only pay when someone clicks on it. Organic ranking means I incorporate all of these terms into my website and into my blog. Okay. Yeah. Pushing out a marketing campaign might mean that I create a bunch of ads, either text ads or visual ads, even through Google, that will go to where these people are going. So I assess my target audience, this procurement department. Where are they hanging out? I can do a selection of websites, or I can tell it to do a general, for this target audience and have it show up wherever they are. And then I do something called retargeting. Anyone who's ever come to my online websites, right? If I have a website, which I'm going to assume we do because we need one, I can do what's called retargeting, which means I basically can follow them around the internet. And I still remember once I went to some guy's site. This blew my mind. He's a marketer. And then I was like on realsimple.com looking up a recipe or something. I don't even know where I was. And there's his face. I'm like, what are you doing on this site? And he actually said, I'm following you. Click here to find out how. And this was like 7 years ago, the very beginning of this kind of stuff. And that's when I learned about retargeting. I clicked on it. I'm like, how did you follow me here? I don't understand.
Wow.
So you don't want to creep people out like that if you're not a marketer. Because that's just weird.
It's like, wow. Hey, we're going to have to take a break right now. We're talking with Estie Rand, Strand Consulting. Great strategy. So stick tuned. We're going to get on the other side, and we're going to start talking more about, again, marketing, why it's important for you.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
All right, the Industrial Talk Podcast has a new sponsor by the name of ASG Energy. Now, this company helps private companies as well as public organizations of all sizes reduce energy costs through the use of commercial LED lighting technology and electrical services. Now, you know me. I'm a big fan of LED just because, well, first off, I don't have to change the lights, but on a commercial basis, oh my gosh, the energy savings is phenomenal. The reduction in maintenance costs, phenomenal. Return on investment, quick. It's incredible. And the environmental benefits, self-explanatory. So, you have any questions about LED commercial lighting? You need to check out my friends at ASGEnergyLLC.com. Find out more because they know what they're doing. So check them out. All right, welcome back to the Industrial Talk Podcast. We're talking to Estie Rand, Strand Consulting, and we were talking offline, and we're going to start to expand a little bit about that retargeting because personally I'm freaked out about the whole thing, but I want to know how to do it, and I think you industrial listeners need to know how to do it. And if you don't, you got to contact Estie, and we'll provide that information at the end of the show. So once again, let's talk retargeting because I'm freaking out.
Sure. So it actually gets a lot more freaky because you can now be retargeted from an offline interaction, which means if you walk into a shoe store, they do it now. It's called geotargeting. Okay. Your phone, your smart device is, I think Big Brother could have only dreamed about the technology we have today. Okay. So they know where you are. Okay. Big Brother, also known as Google, also known as Facebook, also known as big data, whatever you want to call it. They know where you are at any given second. Your phone has unique tracking ID. And so when you're plugged into any site, they know where you are. And again, if you have an Android, if you have an iPhone, it doesn't matter what you've got, they know where you are. And so if you're connected to any of these platforms, you walk into a store, that store can plug in and play. So again, big business has a little more access to some of these tools, but you can access them through different marketing companies. Some of it you can access yourself, some of it not. There are levels, but the technology.
I got to step in. So because I want to be a neophyte here. I am a neophyte.
All right.
So I've got my iPhone. It's in here. Yeah. And I go into that shoe store. And
And Google knows you're there. You haven't done anything, but you've got your Facebook open or you've got your Google open. And the shoe store, if it's a big company, is tapped in there. And so Facebook knows you were there. Google knows you're there. Verizon or Sprint or T-Mobile knows you were there. And they can get access to that data, and then they'll send you ads. Or if you have any kind of customer reward number, okay, they know who you are, and they can connect that to all your online profiles, and they know you were there. You are very, very, very trackable today, okay?
So, I guarantee you people are just absolutely freaking out there because
Sorry, guys.
So here's a funny thing. And I did not know that. I'm on Facebook, and then all of a sudden I might be talking about, I don't know what it is. Let's say I'm interested in low-fat yogurt, whatever it might be. And I'm just here, and then all of a sudden my feed has, hey, here's some low-fat yogurt, and I'm going, who's listening to me, right? But
everyone. They analyze all your data. Correct. They analyze all your data, but here they can analyze also your browsing history. Okay, I can target people who go to my competitors' websites. I can say anyone who's gone to that guy's website, send him my ad. Anyone who's gone into that guy's store, send him my ad.
So this, from an industrial point of view, is quite incredible. Because let me and correct me if I'm wrong, because boy, this is just blowing my mind. So when you, let's say shoes or whatever, coats, whatever it might be, that's sort of a huge market. But when we start talking about an industrial world, not everybody's looking at pumps or valves or disgruntificators if that was truly an item. That's a very small pool. But you could still, in essence, retarget.
Yeah, I can retarget. Again, so there's something called a pixel, which is a tiny piece of code that gets installed on your website, either from Facebook or through Google. They stick it on your website, and that's a tracking device. Now, it can track anything from visits to what we call conversions. If you're selling something online, they have like a drop card. Have you ever gotten an email message or even an ad? Hey, you didn't finish buying those shoes. How did they know that? How did they know you put it in their cart, but you never bought it? They're following you. It's a pixel.
Wow.
That's what it does. So anyone who's come to your site, you get to track. So you can't get access to a competitor's pixel, obviously, unless you pay them and they give it to you. Right. But you can track what people are typing to find them. And so here, this is a situation where I would never do something like a Facebook ad, because that's just so weird. I would never want to be sitting on Facebook and I'm like looking at, my brother-in-law's wedding and like there's an ad for a pump. Like that's just misplaced. Like that's just weird. But you know what I would do? I would do YouTube pre-roll ads, and I would do YouTube how-to videos, because the second largest search engine after Google is YouTube, which is owned by Google, but everyone knows that. Right. Okay, people go into YouTube looking for how to do things. So imagine like a new guy on the block on procurement department, and I put in the best pump for XYZ. Or XYZ best pump, because I want to lead with the main word and not with the word because the leading words rank higher in search. And then when someone's looking for this, that shows up. It shows up in YouTube as a video. And then I have a link below. And then again, each of these platforms, I like to say social media is like a party. YouTube is a type of social media, even though it's also search. And when you're going to a party, there's weddings, there's networking events, there's kids' birthday parties, there's black tie dinners, there's all different kinds of parties. Each social media platform in and of itself, Facebook, I'm just going to give you the big 7. Facebook, maybe it's 5. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, Twitter, LinkedIn. I feel like there was 7. Snapchat. I was right. There are 7. Those are your big 7. Those are your big 7 right now. And then you've got all different ones like Yelp and TripAdvisor and all of these kinds of, which are not quite social media. Those fall more under online, but they're social as well because you have all the comments. So there's a kind of that gray area where people aren't necessarily interacting and chatting like they're at a party, more like a bulletin board of recommendations, if you will. So each of these parties is different. If I want to and I want to go to the party where my audience is, right? Because I'm trying to sell. I'm not going to go to a wedding when I'm trying to meet the people at the birthday party. That would be silly. So I won't go to Facebook, and so much money is wasted on advertising when we're not going after our target, even on digital. Digital is amazing because you can pivot and you can learn, but if you're in the wrong place, you'll still throw tons of money out.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So Facebook's not a great place to sell industrial products unless you're having an industrial trade show. Events are great on Facebook. So it depends not only on the what, not only on the what you're selling, but like how you're selling it. So if I'm trying to sell my things through a trade show or through a conference or through an event or through something, so Facebook's fine for that, but not for like an actual item. Like Facebook's great if you're trying to sell personal training, or you're trying to sell like, a lot of services will go well there, or low and high ticket items, personal items like coats and things like that. Something like this would go really well on YouTube, which is a lot about the how-tos, a lot about learning, different entertaining video content is great there. But if you're trying to teach things, people look for YouTube a lot. How to do this? What's the best this? That's a great place for stuff like that.
Just from a real simple point of view, there is no reason, if you have a question, not to get on Google, type that question in and find that video or whatever to answer your questions. There's no reason why. It's not like, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, where I had to go to the library, and that was a reason not to learn because I didn't want to get in the car, didn't want to do whatever, and go find it in the library and then read. You got doggone videos that said, hey, this is how you do it. And it's everything. Everything in the entire world.
Now when they used to do, even when I was just starting out working, already this was starting. Once upon a time in interviews, you get interviewed and they'd ask you if you knew things. Now in an interview, they don't ask if you know things. They just ask if you know how to search it. If you know how to search it, that's fine. I don't need to have to know things. I just need to have to know how to find them. And that's the truth. It's a whole different world. We are living in a whole different world.
It is. And it's funny, that whole mindset. It's now your patience level has just sort of plummeted because you should know.
Oh my gosh.
Doggone it, man. If I don't have my find it on my phone, man. And
totally.
It's like, yeah.
Even my GPS, I'm like, I need to pull out of the driveway. Why aren't you working fast enough? I'm like, I have places to go. Load. I don't even know I don't know if I'm pulling out the driveway left or right. I'm like, come on.
It's such a weird wiring of the brain, man. It's totally off the charts. And see what's so wonderful about this industrial world. We're still, I think in general, we're about 5, maybe 7 years behind where, let's say, that shoe store or that whatever it might be, because this is what's always fascinating me, Estie, is the fact that technology is moving at a faster pace than humans can actually evaluate. Because the people who are making the technology is going, you know what else we can do? We can do this. Code, boom, done.
It's
next
insane.
version. It's insane.
There's a guy down the hall from me who has a live robot. I saw him coming with it the other day. It's built on a Segway. So it's like one of the, it's like a motorized scooter.
Right.
It's coming down the hall, but I'm like, something's weird about that Segway. And I asked him, what is it? He's like, oh, it's a robot. That's what his company does. And the thing, it felt like it was alive. It tracks scans your entire body, can follow you. He's like, hello, Lumo. I forgot what he called it. And the thing's like, looks at him. He's like, follow me. And it scans him. And it's like, okay, I have identified you. I will follow you. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have just seen the future.
The future.
And it was so scary. And then it's like this thing. I feel like I should pet it. I feel like it's a dog. It feels like it's alive.
Yeah. Did it learn? Was it learning
Yeah. It can learn, it can track, it can avoid people while you're on it. So it's self-driving also. It videos. So he uses it either to video himself or he uses it for film. So because it'll track behind someone and video them. It's scary. It's scary how stupid we're about to get. I think that's part that scares me the most.
In this industrial world, we sit there and create a committee. And that committee is solely evaluating some sort of new thing, right? And that committee takes a long time. And so when they come to the decision of saying, okay, we're going to go forward with version 1.0. And then they realize that version 6.0 is out there and they just play as like, oh God, what do we do?
You've got to move faster. You have got to move faster. And I would say for someone who's, let's say you are really 6 years behind the times. So I'll tell you what your basics are. If you're going to do, if you want to understand, how do you add online into your marketing mix? Because classic is, you've got your print, you've got your radio, you've got your television. Everybody knows that. So if you want to do basic online, you need to have some kind of a web presence. And I say that very specifically. That means if I go online and I type your name, I better find you or you're pretend.
That's true.
Yeah. So I don't care if I find you on your own website and I don't care how that website's built. There are so many different ways to build websites. If it's a custom build, if it's an off the shelf, if it's based on a theme, we could go, that's an entire other talk in and of itself.
It is.
But I don't care if you just have a Facebook page. Okay. I don't care if you just have a Yelp. You need to be found online. I need to find you. I need to know that you are real and you exist. And when I find you, I should be getting sold because I'm looking for you. Now, next level would be if when I'm looking for what you're selling, I find you. But the very minimum, if I'm looking for you, I need to find you somewhere.
I heard a stat that 84% of everybody that comes in contact with you Googles you.
I would think that's higher.
That
higher, sounds really? Low to me.
Really, I just because that just sort of blew my mind. That hi, I'm Scott McKenzie. Oh, hi, Scott. And then they flip around. Scott McKenzie, Google, send.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They take your business card, and when they go home, again, I won't say everyone that meets you, but anyone that's interested in you. So I would say 84% for anyone that meets you. Anyone that's interested in you, I'd say probably like 97. If someone's interested in you and they want to see more about you,
you're right.
Think about it. You take someone's business card. You don't have time right now, but later you're going to go and check them out.
Oh, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah. You better.
I want to know who you are.
Yeah, you better have it out there. Mm-hmm. You know what my problem is? My name is Scott McKenzie. Yeah. There is a singer that was named Scott McKenzie. He was out of San Francisco, and his name pops up. He's dead now. He died.
But he's way more famous.
I can't get past him. It's like, I'm out there. I publish. Boom. There's Scott McKenzie. Are you going to San Francisco?
Aw, it's so annoying.
No justice, no peace there.
You got to just attach your name to something else. Scott McKenzie Industrial. No, I'm serious.
That's
and
true.
Start making that your brand that everyone looks for. Yeah. I had this great guy on my show. He's super cool. You check him out. What's his name? Brian Wallace. And he said to me, he's like, don't ever search my name because you'll never find me. Because there are so many.
Brian Wallace.
Yeah, Brian Wallace. Like, I'm never going to find him. But he is the infographic king. So if you type in Brian Wallace infographic, you will always find him. And so when you start to attach your name to something that you do or to your location again and again, and people get used to that, then you can start getting found.
You know what's interesting? Back to the webpage. You're absolutely correct. There's no reason why you can't have an engaging website. Yeah,
None. Do you understand how easy they are? They can cost you almost nothing. You can build it. If you're not tech inclined, there's a site. This is my secret. My secret? There's a site called Strikingly. And basically it's plug and play. Okay. Which means that I can make a strikingly gorgeous website with zero skills. Zero. I need to know nothing. I need to know point, click. Oh, that looks decent. Click. I always say building a website, like I say, social media is like a party. So building a website is like building a home. There's different kinds of homes, right? I can go rent a fully furnished apartment or house. It's all set, right? I just move in. There are websites that are like that. I just got to move in my stuff. There are websites that are unfurnished apartments, which means the basic framework's there, but I got to figure out how to set it up in addition to hanging my pictures and bringing in my clothing. And then there's a custom built house or apartment. Well, you don't really custom build an apartment unless you're, part of the building project. But let's say custom built house where I'm literally digging from the foundation. So obviously that's going to be way more costly and way more suited to my needs than if I move into this apartment that's fully furnished. I'm like, I don't really like this chair. And that closet doesn't have enough room for my clothing, but okay, I'll make it work because it's a lot cheaper than building my own house. So for web presence, it's exactly the same. And all the players are the same. I once had a guy who said to me, he's like, Estie, I totally trust you. I really trust you. I just don't understand why I'm paying you and a graphic designer and a programmer and a copywriter. Why am I paying so many people for my stupid websites? And that was in the days before I had an internal team when I was at the beginning stages. Now we partner with external contractors all the time, but we also have an in-house team.
You have to.
If the client wants. Yeah. So I explained it to him. Listen, I'm your web strategist. I help you figure out what does your web presence need to look like? What kind of website should you have? Should you be on social media? Should our website just be a Facebook page? Maybe you don't need to pay for a website at all. What should the web presence look like? I'm your strategist. And then what should it say? What pages should you have? I'm your architect. I'm drawing up your blueprints. You want a custom build? We need to understand what we're doing here. I'm building a house. How many bedrooms do you need? Do you want a den? Do you want to study? Do you need a backyard? I'm your architect.
Right.
And then you've got your construction crew. They're doing the actual building.
But see,
they're actually going to build a house.
This is where the real disconnect happens. Many, and I would say a high percentage, it's just like a glorified business card. There's no strategies or tactics associated with what you want done in that website. Where do you want people to go? How does it benefit you? It's more just, like I said, a business card as opposed to a true business asset.
Totally. And it's a shame, but at the same time, if you can't, it's still better than nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, a website today is what a business card or a yellow page listing was in the 70s and 80s. No question. Like in the 80s, if you're walking around, you don't have a business card, you're like, we're in a business person. Today, if you don't have a web presence, you're not.
You're not.
But again, web presence is very broad. I just need to find you online. I don't specifically need to have a website. And if I do, yeah, it should be doing what I want it to do. Why, if I'm already going to invest, we call it a CTA, a call to action.
Yeah.
If someone's coming to your website, make them do something. Yeah. Walk them through a process. You can totally, it's the way I walk. Again, that's why I like the parable to a house. It's so the same. When I walk into a house, I'm walking them through. But again, if the house was just kind of shoved together, because I was like, yeah, just, build it. I don't care. Right. I just need somewhere to live. So it's not going to suit my needs very well. And it's probably not going to walk people through very nicely.
So because we got off on a tangent, we were talking about digital presence, web presence. Yeah. You were saying if I'm a neophyte and I'm just trying to break into this, get a good website, whatever it might be, get something out there that
something online that people will find you. Yeah. But at least make sure that you've consulted some level of professional. Because I've got one guy, I feel so bad for him. He invested in a website, but he went, okay, here's the thing with most creative endeavors, right? Any kind of marketing, good, fast, and cheap. You only get 2 out of 3.
That's exactly right.
So he wanted good, fast, and cheap. He got fast and cheap. And so he's got a website up, but even if you search for him, like the thing that comes up for his website is like gibberish. It doesn't have like the right words, but it's him. And like, if you click on it, it's his site, but like, it's such a mess. So minimal professional insight.
Yeah. And you've had that conversation saying, hey, this is just some ideas into maybe doing something differently.
Yeah. But you know what? I actually, this specific person, it's on my mind because I spoke to him this past week and he's like, okay, what's it going to cost? I said, listen, we can touch that up less than $1,000. We can kind of do a rebuild. You'll be found. It'll look good. Cause like I said, we do things really low cost. And he's like,
cheap.
Right. And he's like, okay, I'm going to think about it. I said, listen, you can go to something like Fiverr or Upwork, get it for $250, $350, which is really nothing, but you might be stuck in the same exact mess you're stuck now. He's like, oh, maybe I'll check that out. And I'm like, oh, maybe you'll call me back in a month and then you're spending $1,350. But that's not my problem. I can't make you do anything.
Give me his contact information and I'll make sure he's thinking right, because I've been down that road and it doesn't
work.
Worth
it. It's not worth it. I always lay out all the options, but I'm a big believer, like with my clients, because we do everything. We do work-life balance. We'll do financial projections. I got a guy now who's launching a restaurant. I always get these. I love when I get restaurant people like, I've got this restaurant. It's going to be amazing. And I'm always like, oh, another one. I always feel so bad because like if 80% of new businesses fail in the first 5 years, I think restaurants are like 95. They're the hardest business. But this guy's concept's brilliant. I'm like, all right, this is going to really work. Anyway, so we do all these different things. And I always say, I'll give you all the information. I'll tell you what I think you should do. It's up to you. I'll support you whatever choice you make. I'm always going to give you my opinion. Not only can I not make you do something, I'm never going to try to make you do something. I'm going to tell you what I think you should do. And I'll support you wherever you go. So sometimes it'll cost you more if you don't listen.
Okay, well, we're talking with Estie Rand, Strand Consulting. Let's take a break. We'll be on the other side. We're going to get contact information because you got to follow her. You've got to connect with her because she will make you a success. So stand by. Thank you for joining the Industrial Talk Podcast. Hey, once again, this is Scott McKenzie with Industrial Talk. If you like what you're listening to, please feel free to sign up for the free podcast as well as the blogs. I'll try to keep it all relevant to your business and hopefully be able to provide some insight into what we do at Industrial Talk and what you do as a professional. Hope to see you soon. Thank you. All right, welcome back to the Industrial Talk Podcast. We are talking to Estie Rand, and we're going to wrap this up, but we need to finish up for the listeners, Estie. Like, I want to make sure that we understand that many of them, this is truly a new world. So once again, we said you got to get found out there on the website. So your website's got to at least look clean and professional. And then what? Now what?
Yeah. Okay. So let's separate it into passive and active. So at least you have a passive presence that when someone looks for specifically you, they find you, right? I either have a website, I have a social profile, I've got something. Now this applies not just to customers, this applies for staff also, right? If you're hiring and you want good talent, your talents, especially if they're young, they're going to check you out online. Does this place look interesting? Is the kind of place I want to work? If you want people to even find you when they're looking for jobs, a lot of job hunters will search industries and they'll search for jobs available. You can actually have a, we're hiring or staff or applications page on your site if that's something that's important to you. So that's our passive. Yeah. Be there, be a place where people can find you, make it look professional and good, and at its better levels, walk them through a process. Now there's active, right? So I can do, there are literally hundreds. I've just put together a document of promotional strategies. I'm up to 142. Okay.
Now is that online, in-house? Is that in-house strategies? Is that your
everything? No, this is,
or can that be shared?
Oh no, people can get it from me. You can get it from me. You just got to send me your email.
Like it a lot.
I'm going to share it.
Good.
I'm going to share it. It's almost done. It's going to be ready next week.
Good.
You can totally have it. And it is promotional strategies for every business at any budget. That's what it is. So yeah, I started as I was trying to go to 77. And every time I open the document, I think of like 5 more. Right. So we're up to 142. By the time you get it, it'll probably be 157. I don't know. Anyway, so
I love it.
Digital is probably like 50 something, because when I talk magazine ad, so there's really, once I figure out how magazine ads work, trade publications, regular magazines, doesn't matter. It's pretty simple. Make ad, put in right magazine. Okay. Like there's not a whole lot. Again, right kind of ad, and the targeting, fine. It's pretty straightforward. Digital, there are so many options because I got my big 7 players, but then I've got all of these, TripAdvisor and those kinds of sites, which again, this is not for manufacturers. It's just important to know. And then I've got keyword search and I've got website. So figure out where your audience is and how you're going to go after them. Everything from a retargeting or keyword campaign, which means I can go and look up my competitor. If my competitor's got a website, I can see what people search for when they find him, and then I can pay money to show up first.
Wow.
So the competitive advantage you can generate with online marketing is insane. I can see what people are talking about and then figure out what's my audience doing. How do I figure it out? If I'm in the business for a long time, I know this in my own head. Okay. And if not, I can ask. I ask my target customers, people who have bought from me, hey, how'd you hear about me? By the way, do you ever search online? What do you search for? Have you ever searched on YouTube for videos? Do you ever see anything? Instagram is a platform where if I wouldn't print it, frame it, and hang it on my wall, it doesn't get, I shouldn't put it there. It's an all image platform. Words are important, but images are way more important. Wow. LinkedIn, you put a picture up, like nobody cares. Everyone's like, why are you stupid? Like, give me some words, talk to me, give me some videos, tell me what's going on. Right. Every platform is a different party. And I got to play by the game, but I got to go where my audience is in a way they expect to find me. So my next level after being passively found is actively going after my audience, whether those are hires or customers. And how do I find them? I figure out where they are and where they're looking for me. Video is amazing.
I got to tell you, yeah, video is especially in our world where, it could be quite technical and it's always great to see it as opposed to just listen to somebody or read about it because you just really want to see it. And there's no reason on the face of this earth where you can't have a video because everything do you use your phone? I don't care.
Yeah. And don't get intimidated. Exactly. A professional video will cost you $3,000 plus at its minimum. Not necessary to get off the ground. Not at all. You can do something like Powtoon. Okay. Or these like pencil sketch. Powtoon is like, there are these online platforms. Again, this is online. So, get your baby brother. Or you can learn it. You can learn this at any age. And you can create your own cartoons, which is like point, click, click, put the little Menchie here, put the little popping sign there, put these words there. And like, I got a cartoon. Yeah. Or I go on these sites like Fiverr and Upwork, which are these, we call it the gig economy, where I can hire someone who's an expert in just that thing. This guy's an expert for like $15. He turns out a video in 2 days. Just get it done.
Get it done.
And it's so cheap. It's nothing. It's like, it's pennies on the dollar. And then you've got your content.
Yeah, it is.
And if you didn't like it, so do another $15 one.
Yeah. When I went down this road, I came in contact with Fiverr and then all of these translation like Teamy and other companies. And it's like, man, it's like you said, it's pennies on the dollar. There's no reason. It's like, you can do this. And
you can totally do it.
The programs are like, they're easy. I can sit there.
Yeah. You got to learn it, but you know what? You could just go to YouTube and learn how to use it because someone else is making a training video and they're making money.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Estie, thank you very much. We got to wrap this up. We could go on for hours and hours and hours because I truly like this subject and I think it's really beneficial for the industrial listener. You guys have got to get out there. Estie, how do they get in contact with you?
Okay, so my social media party of choice is LinkedIn. You can find me, my personal profile, linkedin.com/link/IN/Estie Rand, or just search my name.
And I want to make sure
I'm really
Estie,
hard to lose.
that's ESTIERAND, right?
Yeah, that's it.
And I got to tell you, it's easy to find out there because there's not very many Esties.
No, they're not. I'm really lucky.
If you're looking at Susan Smith, good luck.
Yeah, no, I'm really hard to lose. I tell people. So you go to estierand.com. You can find my company at strandconsulting.net because some other guy took the .com. He won't sell it to me, but whatever. He doesn't even use it.
Are you kidding me?
It's so rude. It's so rude. But you know what? But you can have a web presence even with the .net.
Absolutely.
We survive. Us .netters.
Yes, I see. Anyway.
And I am on Facebook also. And every once in a while I'm on Instagram. But yeah, really hard to lose. Totally get in touch. I would love to speak to you.
Absolutely. And we're going to, and once again, I'm going to be focused in on that 100 promos, whatever strategies and stuff like that, because I'll post it out on my website just because I think that is so valuable, because we in the industrial world need to recognize that this platform is going to be around, well, forever, whether you like it or not. Either you're in the game or you're not in the game. Your competition is, and so you want to be in the game. So, Estie, thank you very much for your time.
You're so welcome.
You're awesome.
This was super fun.
This was a great time. Have a wonderful day. And listeners, hang tight. We'll be back on the other side. Thank you very much for joining the Industrial Talk Podcast. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
All right, that is Estie Rand. She was phenomenal. I think this whole digital world that we're living in is just got a lot of great potential. But you can't just sit back on your laurels and say, okay, I'll figure it out later, or I'll learn about it later. But I'm not telling you right now. You got to find people like Estie big time to help you flatten out that learning curve and be able to do what you need to do. So go on out there. Once again, you got the contact information. That's Estie Rand. That's ESTIE. She's out on LinkedIn. And once again, thank you very much for joining the Industrial Talk Podcast. We're going to continue to try to really amp it up in a way that really is meaningful for you as an industrial professional. Once again, we're going to be bringing an industrial academy to you, and it's going to be separated into leadership and finance, as well as operations, and of course filling that funnel, that business development side. So be on the lookout for that, because we're going to invest a lot of time, energy, and effort into making that a great platform for you, and being able to really make you a success. So thank you once again. If you're in the Gulf Coast area, be safe out there. So nonetheless, thank you. Have a great week, and we will talk later.